Welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon, and not joined by Austin today on this Friday edition of the show as we talk about Mississippi State and Georgia on Saturday, a game that really both teams are in a position where they really need to win. Mississippi State has lost, I guess it'd be five of their last 7 games. And really kind of started to and in the games they've won, they've gone to overtime out of those 7 games. So State really needs to get back on track, especially with what's coming down the stretch after, which we'll get to in the show. We'll talk about kind of the final stretch of what Mississippi State's season looks like, but we're kind of go over this game and kind of the importance that Mississippi State has to win this game, and some of the matchups that we will detail as well with Georgia. Georgia, a team that is struggling, but coming off a win versus LSU, 81-62 at home. LSU really struggling. They're 1-8 in the conference this year, 12-10 overall. So we will get to that and more here on My Dogs Are Barking. But first, I want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee Bar in Starkville. Arpa's understands that great food and drinks are best enjoyed in the company of friends and loved ones. So take some fun people to Arpa's and enjoy a fun atmosphere. It's a great backdrop for laughter, conversation, great memories. And so whether you're seeking a great spot to catch up over coffee, a great gathering place for a special occasion, or just a cool late night hangout in the Cotton District, Arpa's has you covered. And hey, tell them that you are a listener of the My Dogs Barking podcast, and you get that 15% off discount, which not a bad deal at all. Just go ahead and drink your coffee and get to pay a little bit less for it. So let them know that. And hey, we ask this question every week, but what does it mean to be rich? People always talk about wanting to be rich, wanting to have a lot of cash money, but what does it even mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number, more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love. Because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843. And together, you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. So for Mississippi State, coming off of their loss versus Missouri at home, honestly, a loss that was just straight up embarrassing. Austin, I detailed it on Monday. But State really struggled, and State looked bad in that game. And, they had this opportunity versus a Missouri team to get back on track after the close loss versus Alabama. And you thought, well, if they played like they did versus Alabama, they've got a shot to win. But just completely different team came out. And Josh Hubbard has been on the past 2 games. He had 38 versus Alabama in their loss, 24 versus Missouri. But the rest of the team was just abysmal. And so it looks as if Josh Hubbard has got his groove back, which is great news. But the question really is, can other people contribute on this offense? Can they find someone else to kind of help them out? And look, there's also been some talks. Chris Jans spoke, I believe it was yesterday, and said that there's some sort of bug kind of going through the locker room. So obviously you want those players to feel good. I think a real big issue is there's been a bug of the other teams have been infected with being able to shoot the 3-point shot at a high clip versus Mississippi State in the past couple of weeks. And, Georgia's not a team that has that type of capability from how it's been thus far. They have not been a great 3-point shooting team. And so you have to wonder, what's that going to look like? Even in their win versus LSU by 20, Georgia shot the ball from 3, shot 37%, I believe it was. And most of their 3-pointers came from the bench. That their starters only made 4 threes, I think. 5 threes total. And we're really inaccurate. Asa Newell is the guy who makes the engine go for Georgia. Lottery pick, more than likely, really talented guy, really efficient, but he's a very much NBA prototype. He's 6'11", 220, really, really long, and can be a problem for other teams. I'm interested to see what State does with him, because I don't think that. I mean, he's not. It's not like he's got a lot of girth. I think Keyshawn Murphy struggles with that when it comes to one-on-one. So you have to think about Cam Matthews being the matchup there. But I mean, he's got, 4 inches or 5 inches on, no, 4 inches on Cam. So I'm really interested to see that matchup. But this is not a team that's going to hurt you really bad from three. And we talked about it. One of the reasons why Mississippi State is hurting so much on the defensive side of the ball is their help defense. State does not have a center that is a rim protector. And so when that happens, other people are coming to help when the ball gets thrown in the paint. So Keyshawn Murphy one-on-one has struggled. So the help defense is there. And that's why you get a lot of those steals from Claudel and from Cam, from all those other guys stealing the ball in those plays that you think, man, this is what makes Mississippi State great. They're attacking them. But the problem is when the ball gets thrown in the paint and two teammates come to try to defend, get the ball away, they just kick it right back out for three and they have an open shot. I don't think that's going to be the issue with Georgia. I think just because of Georgia's inability to shoot the three as well as these other teams have, I don't think that's going to be the problem. I think State's biggest problem is getting into matchups one-on-one, like Asa Newell down one-on-one versus Keyshawn or versus Cam versus Nwoko. Like those are the things I wonder about that could potentially be a problem for State. So you look at that again. The three is not what's going to kill you. But I'll say this about this game: whenever you think about Mississippi State's kind of season, kind of where they are, kind of where they want to go, this is a really big game for them. Because if you lose this game, you end up losing 3 in a row. And guess what? Tuesday night, State is going to go play Florida in Starkville, but Florida is absolutely killing it right now. Then they go on the road a couple days later at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss has skid a little bit, but they're a really good team. Towards the end of the show, we're going to kind of talk about what that looks like. But if State loses this game, I said it on Saturday. I said it before the Missouri game. State is in a tough position for the rest of the season because of these games they've lost. And I know the SEC is loaded, but if State loses this game versus Georgia, I think there's some serious talk that this team might find themselves on the bubble towards the end of the season. Like I think that they're in the NCAA tournament, but all of a sudden, like you lose a game like this, along with the games that are upcoming. Now you're talking about, whoa, that was rough. Now you're talking about a team that is going to be fighting for a chance, or going to be looking at a play-in game. And State fans do not want another play-in game. They saw how that one ended versus Pitt a few years ago. And also they want to avoid the 8-9 matchup like they got this past season. And if State's in the 8-9 matchup, it's a problem. It's a dangerous game to be in. They're always 50-50 games anyway. State's got to find a way to be better than an 8 seed with the talent that they have, but they've got to figure out how to put it all together. So you got to question it. Can Josh? Well, one, we don't know if everyone's going to be out, or if we don't know who's going to be out on Saturday because of this bug that's going through the locker room. But we do know that the State needs contributions from Riley Kugel. State needs Cam Matthews to get going on the offensive side of the ball. Needs RJ Melendez to hit 2 or 3 threes to help them out. They've got to get back in a groove of confidence. And here's the deal. If you beat Georgia, then you find a way to either beat Florida or Ole Miss, split that series. I think you're golden because you have another win versus another quad one team. But if you end up losing these games, man, it puts you in a tough spot. And just to kind of give a quick kind of look at what the State is. Currently, State is 4-5 in quad one games. Upcoming, you got Georgia, who's quad one, Florida quad one, Ole Miss quad one, Texas A&M quad one, Oklahoma and Alabama quad one. So they're right in the middle of this stand of going through quad one games. And again, like I said, we'll get through. We'll get to that part of the show soon. But wanted to kind of wrap up the matchup portion. I couldn't have been more wrong about the Missouri game. Caleb Grill was just lights out from 3. So was the rest of the team, and State just did not look ready. I mean, they looked really rough. So, in this game, it's a better matchup because you just don't have to worry about the 3-pointer. But if I could see this game going south for State if State starts to try to cover Newell with one-on-one opportunities, and then tries to go the help defense, try to shut him down low, and Georgia just finds an open man. And look, doesn't matter if you're not a great three-point shooting team, that's fine. But Division I SEC basketball players wide open from three, got a great shot of hitting it. So State's got to figure out a way to not get in those opportunities, not get in those situations if they want a chance to win this one. I think State wins this game. It's on the road. I hadn't had a great feeling about this game, but I feel like they're going to get it done just because of Georgia's inability to shoot the three. But Asa Newell is a special player, and sometimes special players just take over and kind of do their thing. So we'll see what happens. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about kind of a big picture for Mississippi State in these next couple of games. We will speak to in a couple of weeks, or I guess maybe next week, or we're going to look at getting Neil McCready on to talk about the matchup with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Such a big game for both teams. And so we will get to that here in the upcoming weeks. But first, we will take a pause, take a break to hear from MPW Digital and some of their ads.
All MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
To My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. So for the rest of the season, Mississippi State has a tough task over these after Georgia on Saturday. Those next 5 games are all quad one opportunities, and so is Georgia, obviously. But they're 4 of the 5 versus ranked teams. State has Florida at home. They go on the road at Ole Miss on the 15th. 3 days later, they're home versus Texas A&M. Then they go on the road 4 days later at Oklahoma before going on the road at Alabama. I'm excited about that Alabama game. We got credentialed for that game to cover it, which is great for me because I live in Tuscaloosa. So I've been making the trek from Tuscaloosa to Starkville, and this 8 p.m. tips. It's a late night driving back. So I'm looking forward to, I'm sorry for everybody else, but I'm looking forward to once that game tips off being at my house within like 10 minutes. So so State has put themselves in a little bit of a hole, but it's so weird. Like Hubbard has got it figured out, but the rest of the team outside of Keyshawn Murphy has just struggled. It's like that they have not figured out how to get it going, and you have to wonder what that's going to be like. I guess it would be a tragedy if they got this far in the season only to end up on the bubble, or only to end up as a 9 seed. But that's possible, man. Like they're 16-6 right now. I mean, they're 8th in the SEC. In the conference, they're 4-5. You need to figure out a way to win at least 4 more games in the conference. And who are those 4 games going to be against? I'm seeing if I can share. If you're watching on YouTube, which I always prefer. I mean, sometimes you just can't, but we always try to have some good screen shares to show you. So we're looking at the rest of the schedule for Mississippi State. And the rest of the schedule for Mississippi State is as follows. So you got Georgia, got Florida at home. So let's just kind of play this out. What are your 4 wins from looking here? What's the most likely 4 wins? Georgia, I think, is a likely win compared to some of the rest of them. LSU is a likely win. That's 2. That's really it in terms of the things you guarantee. Oklahoma's not a great team. It's on the road. I think they get that win, but that's going to be odd, man, going all the way up there. So that could be your 3rd, and then Texas being your 4th, or Arkansas being your 4th. But both of those, Texas can shoot the 3. That's a problem. Arkansas, and you got, if you know anything about college basketball, it's about who gets hot when. Arkansas is getting hot, and when they get hot, you don't want anything to do with them. And this game's on the road, and they're likely playing for. I mean, at this point in the season, they're going to be playing for everything. They're going to be trying their best to get into the tournament. So you have to worry about Arkansas being a threat as well. There's just no guarantees, man. Like to win 4 games. So State's 7-11. They're in the tournament, I think. So if you get 3 more wins, you're in the tournament. But you don't feel good about your chances in terms of seeding, and seeding is everything, man. State gets matched up against Michigan State last season. It's just a bad matchup. You're talking about the greatest coaches of all time, and Tom Izzo. And you don't want to be in a playing game. It's just problems for State if they cannot get that done. So this is going to be a big game on Saturday. I think State can get the win just because of Georgia's inability to shoot a 3. It's not because of anything Mississippi State is doing. State's looked rough these past couple of weeks. Defensively, offensively, they've shown some steps, but then took a step back versus Missouri. So, big game versus Georgia on Saturday, 5:00 on the road, and then we are going to recap that game on Monday, and also preview the big matchup versus Florida, and then later on in the week we'll preview a matchup versus Ole Miss and try to get Neil on the show. So a lot of exciting things, man. We're in the throes of college basketball. The SEC has just proven to be so dominant, man. And all of a sudden you look up and here comes Arkansas, like another team that has the ability to possibly sneak in and get a tournament spot if they continue to be as hot as they have been. And I know, I mean, they're a minute away, but like they just beat Kentucky by 10. They beat Texas in both of the games on the road. They got a big game versus Alabama on Saturday, but they're 3-6. They do have some work to do. But like here's a part of their schedule. They got LSU. Like this is what's remaining on Arkansas. Arkansas is 3-6 in the conference. They got LSU. That should be a win. 4-6. South Carolina, that should be a win. So that's 5 wins. Vanderbilt is a possible win. And then they got State on the schedule, Texas on the schedule, and then a couple of ranked teams they probably won't beat. But Arkansas, that's what I'm saying. That game versus Mississippi State at the end of the season, March the 8th, 8th, is going to be a huge game for both teams because Arkansas is going to be playing with their hair on fire, trying to get into the tournament. So watch that. That's going to be huge as we go forward, man. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back this weekend. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, just at MyDawgsPod, and we will give you the news on the game this weekend. But it should be fun, man. Listen, we're in the throes of some of the best sports tournament of all time, the NCAA tournament, and we're getting closer and closer. And people are talking about resumes. I'm finding myself. I'm listening to Jeff Goodman, who Jeff's a good guy, man. He was. I talked to him about coming on the show right before the season, and some things came up. Just right before, but really, really a great watch on Field of 68, Field of 68, his podcast. But I mean, I'm watching breakdowns of Iowa State and Rutgers, and who's going to replace Mike Woodson at Indiana if he leaves, and all this stuff that's just stuff you'd have no interest in watching. What Providence is doing during the season, but like college basketball just brings out that part in people where they're like, man, I care about this mid-major team that, no one's ever heard of before, and what they could do. How do they defend the three? What's their pick and pop game like? So, exciting time of the year, man. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, just at MyDawgsPod. Make sure you subscribe to MPW Digital. Get to 11,000 subscribers. Really incredible. If you're a college football fan, you need to be watching McCready and Siskey on Mondays and Tuesdays, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. It's the best college football show to me that's out there. Very entertaining. And so we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening and watching My Dogs Are Barking podcast. I'm Landon, and we'll holler at you next time.